in 2020 and since.
It's not shocking because they're alleged criminal partners. Not only did they work together in their negligence in burning down 7,000 houses and 12 people alive, but
I don't think we have had a break since President Trump got physically back into the office and into the daily work of crushing our enemies. So much work to do while keeping the evil mainstream media in check and hoping that we, the people, continue to wake up across this nation. We're going to cover a lot that's been going on throughout this week, leading into the weekend, going into June. Whew, hang in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. 511,000 followers on Rumble. Thank you for hitting that follow button if you would. And also that like button helps us get to the top of the leaderboard on Rumble. We were number 2 again, right next to Dan Bongino. That is so exciting for all of us, and we just really appreciate you guys there. Also, don't forget we have our gear at andweknow.com. We have shirts and hats and all kinds of new colors and goodies. Our new bedazzled crew neck and tee. We're going to show you pictures of Patriots wearing our gear later on. Wait around for that one.
We have seen this over and over and over again. When a Republican goes up against Donald Trump, or Donald Trump really goes up against them, it doesn't end too well for that Republican senator. We saw it just a few weeks ago with Bill Cassidy getting, just 25% of the vote, which was the lowest vote share total for any senator, incumbent senator. And now when looking at the margin, again, breaking history, the 28-point loss for John Cornyn, the worst for a Republican senator since at least World War II, Kate Baldwin. That is how historic it was.
That is, that fits into historic. So Cornyn is kind of if you were to say like a Bush era Texas Republican. How much has the party shifted from the Bush era, if you will, since Trump has come into the?
Yeah, I mean, look, John Cornyn was first elected back in 2002, and I will just tell you that the George W. Bush era of the Republican Party is, simply put, it is dead. It is dead, and this was the capstone to it. And Donald Trump's Republican Party is very much alive. He is the leader of the Republican Party. I just want you to look here. I mean, this just tells you everything that you need to know, which is the net favorable rating with the GOP. You have Donald Trump, you have George W. Bush. Before Donald Trump declared back in May of 2015, look at this. George W. Bush's net favorable rating was plus 58 points. Donald Trump was 45 points underwater with Republicans. Look at this. This is over 100-point shift, I do believe. Donald Trump is now at plus 61. That's an over 100-point shift in the positive direction for Trump. And look at what happened to George W. Bush. He dropped by 40 points from plus 58 to plus 17. So George W. Bush has fallen through the floor since Donald Trump, of course, first really appeared on the political scene, first ran for president for the Republican nomination back in 2015, declaring in June of 2015, while George W. Bush, simply put, as I said, his Republican Party is dead. Republican voters are very lukewarm on him, and Republican voters are still very hot to trot on Donald Trump. And you saw that in George W. Bush's home state of Texas on Tuesday night with John Cornyn, of course, a Bush-era Republican, going down to a historic defeat. The bottom line is that Donald Trump, it's his party across the political map, even in George W. Bush's backyard.
One thing you see in the numbers, one thing we heard from voters on the actual day, on election day, there was that they're going with Trump. Trump had accused Cornyn of not being loyal enough, and they were going with Trump when they were going to be supporting Paxton. How much, like, that begs a question of, like, how loyal do Republican voters want their electeds to be to President Trump?
Yeah, I think when you see this over 100-point shift towards Donald Trump, I mean, that's just crazy. But then you just ask the Republican voters, what do they want? What do they want from their members of Congress? GOP voters want congressional GOP to do more to work with Trump. 80%, 4 and 5, just 13% want him to do more to stand up to Trump. When 80% plus of the party is with you on any particular question, you know you own the party. This is, as I said, Donald Trump's Republican Party, and it's George W. Bush has simply put that Republican Party is dead. It's in the graveyard.
The George W. Bush era of the Republican Party is simply put dead. And Donald Trump's Republican Party is very much alive. They've been getting rid of the rhinos one day at a time. The people that understand what's going on, they're waking up, and I love how they put that number 17 for Bush, almost like the operation has been playing out, showing you that number 17, the Q, has demolished the old guard with the information flow to all of us, and we essentially voted for the right folks. at the right time, and the net favorable rating with the GOP is plus 61 for Trump. Oh, man. So you think CNN was given that number, or do you think they were told to put 17 on there? What do you guys think? Another thing that's weird, just kind of a side note, those looking at your screen. Anybody ever seen colors like this? I just happened to notice the colors that she's wearing. Man, that looks like Flash from the past. I don't know. Kind of awkward. All right, let's move on.
Breaking news. We can now confirm that the U.S. and Iranian negotiators have reached an agreement on a 60-day memorandum of understanding to extend the ceasefire and launch larger negotiations on Iran's nuclear program.
Very interesting. That came up, I think, after this press briefing where Scott Bessent's been stepping in to fill in the void. Check this out.
With the Iranian government, we did not have regime change, but we changed the regime. As President Trump said at the cabinet meeting, as we've said other times, the first layer of leadership was eliminated, the second layer, and we're now at the third layer. And the way to think about it is the Iranian government, such as it is three pillars. It is the elected government, it is the IRGC, and it is the clerics. And they are having trouble communicating. So we are being patient. We do not have unlimited patience. President Trump always prefers a peace deal. So everything we have done thus far has been defensive. And at present, that is what we will continue doing. But if President Trump doesn't think he can get a peace deal, then kinetic is back.
They're trying to keep us updated one day at a time. Of course, that news came out with this 60-day plan. Let's continue.
This is significant. Sources are telling us that it is now awaiting Trump's final approval, and the signing of this agreement would be the most significant breakthrough since the war started. But a final agreement that addresses Trump's nuclear demands would still require further talks. So this is a memorandum of understanding. It's significant. And Harris, I spoke to a senior administration official at length Sunday, and they were emphatic, saying no dust, no deal. So if they've reached this, you would think that there's a deal on the dust, the enriched uranium.
Yeah. Deal in dust. Enriched uranium. Boy, I can't wait till they put that out there. Who are the ones shipping that uranium around the world? Almost like they were planning to destroy the country that they belong to. Boy, treason in more ways than we could imagine. Let's just a quick little joke before we move on. This is Scott Bessent.
You wrote resilience on your cabinet note meetings. Several times the photographer zoomed into it. Are you trying to keep the president calm? Are you trying to keep yourself calm? Why did you write all those notes?
So people could look over my shoulder, photograph them, and think they got a scoop.
You know, what a great group of leaders that President Trump put in there. When he says that these guys are central casting, I was on another show. I jumped on, I believe, with Real AF Patriot, and Average Joe Patriot was there. It was about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. We had Julie Donuts was there, just had a blast. And they asked me, what do you think central casting is? And I was telling them it doesn't mean that every single person we're watching is an actor. This is all role played, that we are in full control and everybody's doing everything according to a movie. I don't believe that at all. I believe that central casting means that they brought people in that were qualified for the job. And they said, we need people that can actually not only be qualified, they need to be able to stand in front of the public and actually give information and appear to be the right person for that role. Scott Bessent, Treasury, he is perfect for this. Not only that, he has a sense of humor. And I've noticed that with a lot of our leaders. Pete Hegseth sometimes has a sense of humor. Marco Rubio is always telling jokes. And they just seem to love life, love our country, have the ability to answer questions and make the media laugh, which is very difficult to do. And he pulled that one off in an amazing way. Now, I'm going to show you, Secretary Doug Burgum is out there. He said it's time, and he showed this President Trump sitting on the Game of Thrones. And it's interesting because the time is now kind of matches that, because he put the time is now out there also. And if you know what that is on the cue board, find the markers, street surroundings and updates. You've got joint treason. You have a choice. There's good agents. The time is now. Contact windows. Good. biblical times that we're living in. I'm going to show you John Solomon, like you saw a little bit in the intro, what's going to happen when Tulsi Gabbard, as she's heading out the door, some big things. Stick around. But folks, I wanted to let you all know today, especially those of you who have been using Ascent Nutrition's pine pollen tincture, that they just got more back in stock. Recently, Lance and I did an interview talking about pine cones, bees, pollen, and the Vatican, and we discussed the many benefits of their pine pollen tincture. The show was...
Tulsi's going to go out in a blaze of glory in her final month, because she will be able to release in succession some extraordinary evidence of foreign interference in our election in 2020 and since. The intelligence community has known a lot more about active measures from China and Iran and other enemies that it did not make public. Instead, it gave a false, intelligence community gave the Americans a false sugar pill saying that the 2020 election was the most secure in history. She will systematically destroy that narrative. Now, I think she'll be briefing senators soon on states whose voter databases were penetrated by China. That could move the needle on some of these senators voting for the Save America Act. I think there's a tranche of documents that Tulsi Gabbard needs from OMB. If you listen and Russ Vogt, pay attention to this. This is important. There is concern that Ukraine was involved in a 2024 scheme to take a large federal grant that was given to Ukraine and launder it back to the Biden 2024 campaign. We're not talking about Hunter Biden grift in 2014. We're talking contemporaneously in 2024. The evidence of whether that occurred or not sits in OMB's files, because OMB is currently running the U.S. Agency for International Development. If she can get those documents, she could make a criminal referral to the FBI. Thus far, she doesn't have those documents. So I hope Russ Vogt jumps into action pretty quickly. The third thing, so those are the foreign interference things. You could have cheating, a U.S. taxpayer money going to Joe Biden's campaign. That's what the intercepts that we talked about a month ago showed. The proof of that, and I've even talked to some U.S. intelligence community sources who are familiar with what they believe happened here. The proof of that is sitting in USAID records currently in Russ Vogt's possession. The second part of this is what the FBI is doing. Sometimes you don't get a mobster for being a mobster. You get them on taxes, or you get them on some other violation. The election workers down at the state levels who changed the rules of election from what their legislatures mandated in Wisconsin, in Georgia, in Arizona can be criminally prosecuted if they did so knowingly and willing, meaning that the legislature said you should do X, but you ran the election this way because that's what you wanted to do. That is what the FBI is beginning to interview people day in and day out doing. And if they build enough evidence with these workers that instructions were given contrary to what the legislator's intent was, you will have a full-blown cheating scandal. The cheating will be they didn't conduct the election the way the law said. That's a little different than what people thought. It's not machines flipping votes, but it's still a form of cheating. It's still depriving the American public of a fair election. Yep. That's where the FBI is going. And yesterday, there was a big win in North Carolina. Isn't getting the attention it deserves. North Carolina bureaucrats in the election regime wanted to start registering people who had never set foot in North Carolina and didn't live in California. In North Carolina. They wanted to give them voter registration status even though they don't live in the state. A judge said that is ludicrous. But those are some of those bureaucratic deep state power moves that are cheating elections. A judge beat that back. Things like that went on in 2020, and that's what Kash Patel is pursuing.
That's what Kash Patel is pursuing. Boy, oh boy. You guys know there's been a lot of violence going on in New Jersey as these anti-ICE rioters have been messing around out there. I want to show you a clip I just noticed just to show you how violent it's getting out there real quick so you can watch. They're kicking the trucks. They're standing in front of the vehicles, screaming and yelling. ICE agents are coming forward to push these guys. The anti-ICE rioters are pushing back. How in the world they get by with this is beyond me. But, man, there's a lot of trouble going on. It's been 5 days straight. And I want you to listen to this. Check this out from Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
You have no support from local law enforcement than the protesters and the rioters, which is what they are. They're rioters. They're able to back up and kind of gather up and then attack again. And so it makes it much more difficult, but it doesn't make it impossible. And we've been on the phone. We've been working on a plan. And I promise I promise you that those rioters and the violence that we saw on our streets in Jersey the last couple of days is not going to be tolerated.
Yeah, and he continued in that interview, and just a little reminder, folks, that May 29th on the Q board has a picture of George Soros. Destroying America will be the culmination of my life's work, is from George Soros. And Q said, nobody escapes this. Nobody escapes this. So we've been waiting for a long time to watch something happen because we know he funds a lot of these riots.
Family's dead. Come on. Children, your wife, come on. All dead. Put your, my boy. I have your face, mother. You're dead. Dead.
You're dead, your children, your wife, your whole family, I'll kill them all. And then ironically says, I have your face. We all have his face.
Yeah, so do we. And look, that's a federal crime. And not only threatening the ICE officer, but think about how disgusting this individual is, threatening his family and his children with death. What is this man doing? He's just doing his job standing there. And so that is disgusting, that what you just showed, and we see his face. And I promise you, we will find him. And when we find him, we will arrest him, because it is a crime not only to threaten law enforcement, but not surprisingly to threaten their family as well.
All right, just in, this is breaking news. You're prepared.
Very good. So I want to move forward, since these guys, these protesters are, protesting stupidity, right? They're not getting fed enough, the right food, and they're being mistreated in their cells for these illegal aliens, the ones that are all corrupt and criminals. We talked about it in the last video. So all these agitators, they're paid. They go out there and do what they're told because they have nothing better to do. These are all a bunch of freaks, and we know it. And who are they protecting? The illegal aliens. Now, very interesting, and you saw it in the intro, the White House has been dropping some strange things. They don't belong here. The truth is dropped. Aliens.gov. And they walk among us, and they're using interesting text and glowing green, almost eerie stuff like you would see in like an alien movie or whatever. And I'll show you the alien arrest map live. They have a live map that you can go to aliens.gov. You click on it, and there's all types of cryptic things that are showing there. And I'm going to show you this that they posted on the White House X also. So it has loading. You're heading over a cornfield, and there's two yellow lights in the cornfield. And then it turns a little bit green, and then you've got President Donald J. Trump shows up there. So it's amazing how this plays out, almost like, hey, there's aliens hiding in the cornfields and loading, as if they're showing the helicopters flying over. And guess what? These illegal aliens are going to be grabbed and pulled in. The White House also, when they said loading tonight with that video I just showed you, then you've got these pictures from April 17th and July 27th of, one is of 2020, the other is 2019. Was the corn ripe for harvesting? It is now. So it's almost like the harvest is here, corn ripe for harvest, asked Ripcord. It seems so as this is playing out. And also you saw this video in the intro. Yep, they had the music playing, and they have an illegal alien who's carried over the border and dropped off by, what they call those crafts that you see, the UFOs, right? Aliens.gov. And then you've got on your right side the alien count. There's it looks like 3,129,611 encounters, or alien arrest map live, all playing out. And then they posted this illegal, don't zoom into the t-shirt. And so it has, Kimberly Auer said, illegal aliens. These are illegal aliens. And again, it's a play on words. And don't look at aliens.gov. Don't look at the bottom right corner. And you look here, don't look at the caption. Now, very interesting, a guy on X, Wayne Tech SPFX, they specialize in sculpting, mold, and mask making, prosthetics, body armoring, and costume design, said this. It's interesting. The alien sleeper sales, White House, Cleveland. The White House didn't disappoint about loading and posting a big drop. It first started as a cryptic message showing an actual alien running, seemingly by the border fence. Then they dropped a cryptic black and white photograph for as if you looked and followed the clues. it took you to alien.gov. Now I'm going to click on alien.gov real quick. Let's see what happens. They walk among us. And then this types up. If you're looking at it, for 60 years, the U.S. government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods and interacting with us in our daily lives. We're talking about illegal aliens. They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existences, with one exception. They do not belong here. Millions arrived under the cover of darkness and embedded themselves directly into our society. Countless presidents, congressmen, and senior officials knew exactly what was happening. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover it up and even accelerate the invasion until one man finally had the courage to tell the truth. Bold, unapologetic, unafraid, President Trump was the first to call out the real danger aliens pose to every American family, every community, and the future of our nation. The truth is no longer out there. It is right here, right now. And you scroll down, they have these top secret things, scroll to continue, and you've got the number of encounters, and then you've got this map. You hold to zoom. Let's see. Each one, if you look at each state, you got Texas, and then you can click on the different ones, the arrests and the criminal charges if you zoom in. And so pretty interesting as you watch this all play out. I mean, you can zoom in and you can go in and look at all the arrests individually on aliens.gov, and you see all the different countries of origin where the arrests were made, what kind of criminal charges they've had. Total arrest in Indianapolis, Indiana, 2010, for example. Go over here, you got Chantilly, Virginia. They've got 3,955 arrests, and they give you the dates of the arrests from and to. All the criminal charges are listed: arson, assault, bribery, burglary, commercialized sexual offenses, damaged property, dangerous drugs, embezzlement, extortion, family offenses, flight, escape, and then countries of origin: Afghanistan, Algeria, Angola. It goes all the way down in alphabetical order, down to Venezuela, Vietnam, and Yemen. You got Romania in there, Nicaragua, Kazakhstan, Ecuador. I mean, the list goes on. So what's amazing, folks, is this is the kind of stuff that younger people would click on and say, man, you got to go check this out, the aliens.gov. Oh, it's like an alien site, and then, like UFO alien type things. And they're doing it at the same time that there's a possibility, like the CIA, Bill Cooper came out and said the last card that the enemy's going to play on the world is the alien card, right? Like they're from outer space and there's green bodies are going to be flying in with, to scare everybody. And you've heard it before. I played it before where you've had different presidents, including Ronald Reagan, saying, wouldn't it be amazing if we had an invasion from outer space and then all the world would join together to fight against that invasion? And people talk about blue beam technology. You can look it up. But it's great that these guys came together and said, you know what, we're going to come up with a website that's going to attract everyone, including young folks. They're going to read this and say, wow, it's an alien-looking site. And then they learn it's about the illegal aliens, those that they call undocumented, right, because they don't want to hear about aliens. And you start finding out, you can zoom in and click and find out about all the criminals, where they're from, and the illegal aliens, how they're being arrested, and they're up to 3 million arrests. I think that's pretty cool. We've got a lot more to show you in a moment, especially with Steve Pratt in Los Angeles and the accusations he's making against these freaks in California. Stick around.
White ones, we've got clear ones.
Tons of microplastics.
To voters who are confused about the changing maps, the changing dates, and to African Americans concerned that this is going to draw black members of Congress off the map, what do you say?
Well, I think it's been a wonderful process. They've been the Democrats, or as I call the Democrats, because they are dumb in so many ways. They've redistricted for years, and now we took our shot, and it looks like we're going to pick up a lot of seats, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We want voters to have their choice. We want fair voting. We want fair elections. The Democrats have been cheating on elections for many years, and all we're doing is winning. Thank you.
All we're doing is winning. Democrats have been cheating for years, and we're doing everything according to the law. It's so good. Louisiana House overwhelmingly passed the state's updated congressional maps in a 66-35 vote, eliminating a Democrat-held district and shifting the delegation to 5 Republicans and 1 Democrat. Way to go, Louisiana. There's folks out there that love President Trump, and I saw this post from C-SPAN host John McArdle. Listen to this.
Do you think history is going to remember Donald Trump in the same way it remembers Abraham Lincoln, Frank? in the top three. But Abraham Lincoln, he knew he was doing the right thing. Even though his approval rating was down to 25%, he knew he was doing the right thing, just like Trump's doing the right thing. These crazy fools, IRGC, and John, you know this, them crazy fools, they can't have a nuclear warhead. They can't have it. Now, really, Trump's already accomplished that. He buried the uranium and bombed them 9 or 10 months ago. And he done an excellent job. Now, I'm a farmer and a rancher. And fuel prices, I could care less about the fuel prices. And I don't care nothing about that because Donald Trump is doing the right thing.
How about that? I love it. Americans give a call and they're telling you what they're learning and they're growing everywhere. Big numbers playing out. You know, we had Steve Pratt. Is it Pratt? Yep, he's out there. He went on Fox News. And, it's pretty cool. Have him sitting there and there he's growing. He's growing in popularity.
I am resonating across the country or even outside of the country is because all I focus on is the truth. I'm the look around candidate. I do basics. I don't do national politics. I don't do parties. I just say, look, they're stealing all of our tax money to give it to drug addicts, to have needles and tourniquets, and they're actually even selling the drugs to these addicts to let these people die on our sidewalks. I want to be the compassionate one, get these people mandatory treatment, medical treatment with doctors to help them get off of fentanyl and super meth, and that is what people actually want in LA. As much as everybody wanted to believe the people that have been in charge, my opponents combined are at almost 10 years of their experience, they are failures. And so people want an outsider that's not a politician, that's just saying the facts, the truth. These people have failed us. They've spent all of our tax money to increase problems.
How about that? He continues with this one.
It's not shocking because they're alleged criminal partners. Not only did they work together in their negligence in burning down 7,000 houses and 12 people alive, but they're both complicit in laundering $24 billion to actually increase homelessness. Newsom and Karen Bass make up stats. Those are not real numbers. Anybody with eyeballs in the state of California or Los Angeles knows that there has not been a reduction in one homeless person. Actually, there's been an increase of naked drug addict zombies in front of every kid's playground, every kid's school, every coffee shop. So that is, of course, because they both should be in jail together.
That's right. Wow, he's picking up popularity.
Chances are up significantly over the last few months. You go back a few months ago, February 26th, he had just a 7% chance. What is that? That's 5 plus 2. Now it's up like a rocket. There's a pretty decent chance of it. It's now up over a quarter, a 27% chance. So those who dismiss Pratt's chances, well, you got another thing coming because he's got a realistic shot of winning this thing.
Yep, and it looks like he's up by 3 points against Karen Bass. But like President Trump said, they rigged their elections. We're going to probably watch them steal it. We'll probably watch the numbers shift. He'll be up by 2 million or something like that. If they got 2 million, whatever. I'm just saying they're going to switch the votes, and they're probably going to have more voters vote than they have a population there, and it's probably going to get crazy. We're going to have all kinds of lawsuits. But you know how these communist Marxists work. And here's one example. Again, from Newscom, this demonic possessed man.
So I just signed a law to protect our elections, to make sure that we are conducting a fair, free election without fear of intimidation. Everything Donald Trump is trying to do to vandalize truth, to vandalize trust, to rig the election requires vigilance and it requires resolve. And with this law, California is leading to provide the kind of clarity that's necessary so people know that their vote will be counted.
What kind of law? Oh, he signed Senate Bill 73. Wall Street Apes put this out. Prohibits law enforcement and armed personnel from guarding polling places. Oh. Makes it illegal for law enforcement agencies to seize ballots from election offices. Huh. Requires law enforcement to obtain a warrant before taking lists of registered voters or voting machines. Democrats control the courts, so that won't ever be issued. So let's break this down for you and what it really means. ICE at polling places would deter illegals from going to vote, number one. Democrats don't want law enforcement to take ballots and investigate fraud. Number 2. Electronic voting machines are rigging elections for Democrats, so Newsom is making it illegal to check their records. Number 3. Gavin Newsom is literally telling you Democrats are rigging the California elections. Not forget, he made checking ID illegal. It would be great to have the military take over all of the polling stations throughout America. I'd love to see that. Wouldn't it be nice, man? You know, they were asking questions. Are you going to send in the National Guard? Are you going to send in ICE to watch the polling station? Oh, that would be a beautiful thing. We'd watch a real election come in, and you'd probably watch 15, 20% of the election go to Democrats, and the rest of the United States would be going hardcore conservative because they've had enough. But because they keep rigging elections, we keep seeing false leaders in charge destroying the places that they belong to because they're not real leaders. They're sickos, psychopaths. And we, get the military excited, pay them a lot of money, and you know what? Get their barracks fixed up and more. And you're like, hey, maybe with this, we have a growing military and support. Get them ready and send them in. Let's watch the polling stations. That's what I would love. I'd love that. I'm not sure if they can do it or not. It'd be wonderful. Pete Hegseth announced President Trump's giving the largest pay raise in modern history to our military.
The United States has the greatest military the world has ever known. But not just because we have the best jets, the best ships, and the best weapon system, but because our greatest asset is the American warfighter. For too long, Washington has not done enough for the Americans who make our military the most lethal fighting force in history. Under President Trump, that changes right now. This budget is about our people. Because let's be honest about the reality on the ground. We ask our troops to leave their families, to deploy and train in the most complex threat environments since World War II. But when they return to duty, they're met with outdated facilities, substandard barracks, and too often, straight up hazardous living conditions. On top of that, before this administration, we had young enlisted families relying on food pantries.
Sure did.
Just to get by. This is, of course, completely unacceptable for the greatest fighting force in the world. Our troops should never be and will never be on food stamps. With this president in charge, no more. Things are changing fast. As part of our generational $1.5 trillion budget, we're making an aggressive, historic investment in military infrastructure by spending $90 billion on revitalized barracks and facilities. And that money will get rid of all substandard and failing barracks. But housing, it's only half the battle. This budget includes the largest pay raise for our troops in modern history, up to 7% for junior enlisted, and pay raises for everyone in the force. We're also investing over $35 billion into the support systems that our military families rely on every single day. This budget fully funds military health care, finally making TRICARE more desirable than Medicare. We're investing in child care and youth programs, upgraded commissaries, and better military schools. And that's why this budget also provides record funding for the PCS task force and spousal employment programs.
PCS would be those that have a permanent change of station. For you guys don't know, you move every 2 or 3 years. It'd be nice to have a task force to ensure that a lot of the goods that are delivered, your household goods, make it intact and actually packed well. They have the spousal employment programs, which is something that has been needed for a while. And boy, the increase in putting troops first, taking care of the families, it's a big deal and helps retain some of the great leaders that are in our military. And that's very, very, very important. And so in a big development, President Trump reveals he's in private talks with Democrat lawmakers on gutting Obamacare, speaking of all this medical support.
And I've had personal talks with some Democrats. I can't tell you who they are. I just don't want to do that. It's not fair to them. About paying large amounts of dollars back to the people. You know, this was my idea. It came up during that. You know, oftentimes under times of stress, like the shutdown, you come up with great ideas that you wouldn't have thought of before. The insurance companies are making a fortune. Their stock is up over 1,000% over a short period of time. They are taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're not really putting it back, certainly not like they should. So when I see this, and when I've seen this over the last pretty short period of time, I said, why do we just pay this money directly to the people of our country?
That's right.
And let them buy their own health insurance?
Amen.
And you know, I made that statement, and I made it a little bit cavalierly, but it sounded good. And everybody has picked it up, including Democrats. And I am talking to some Democrats right now about doing that. People love it. We're going to take the money. Well, if it gets approved, we're going to take the money. We're going to pay it back to the people of our country to go out and buy health insurance. Now, they can put it in a health account. We can do it a lot of different ways. But they buy their own health insurance. They can negotiate price. And it's going to be locked, so they can't go out and buy a Cadillac.
So good. So good. Man, I got a lot more good news to give you guys in a minute about E. Jean Carroll. She's in big trouble. Joe Lane gives us a total breakdown on this whole thing. Oh, you guys will just absolutely love what we're going to show you. First of all, just want to make sure you know we have amazing brand new gear, especially the all new bedazzled crew neck and tees. Everybody's loving those. The different colors are out now on shop.mwknow.com. New colors there. V-necks are finally here, the 3/4 sleeve. And the 250-year celebration merch is also here. Here's more great pictures of pages.
Is Learning has launched a new criminal investigation into one of Trump's enemies, E. Jean Carroll. Now, E. Jean Carroll was the former magazine columnist who accused President Donald Trump of sexual assault. Ended up being that he was liable for sexual abuse. The source is telling CNN that the investigation now is focused on whether Carroll committed perjury during her 2 civil lawsuits against the president. Paula Reed is breaking the story, and she's out front. And Paula, what else are you learning about this? I mean, there was obviously a verdict here.
That's right. And here, Aaron, this is the latest move by the Justice Department to take action against one of President Trump's long-standing foes. Our sources tell us that this investigation is focused on a 2022 deposition that Carroll gave, where she said that she had not received any outside funding. Now, her lawyers later told the judge that she had, in fact, received funding for legal fees and expenses from billionaire Reid Hoffman. The judge overseeing this case ultimately said there were no issues with her credibility and blocked Trump lawyers from asking about this at trial. Now, Carroll currently has multiple legal battles with Trump currently pending, including one before the Supreme Court. And notably, Aaron, the Supreme Court has deferred 12 times on a decision whether they want to take up that case. Now, over at the Justice Department, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, I am told, has recused from this case because he worked on one of the appeals related to the Carroll case. Now, I'm told he has not attended any meetings or been in any discussions about this investigation. The case is currently being handled out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago. Now, tonight, the Justice Department issued a statement saying, quote, "We can confirm that no U.S. Attorney's Office has declined to investigate any case relating to the subject matter of CNN's inquiry. We will not comment beyond that."
Oh, so good. You know, Joe Lane chimed in on this. He said this is bigger than people realize. E. Jean Carroll is eventually going to go to prison for participating in a conspiracy to try and prevent Trump from running for president again. Quote, "The Justice Department has opened a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll, former magazine columnist who accused Donald Trump of sexual assault, according to reports. The DOJ investigation will focus on whether Carroll committed perjury in her civil lawsuits against the president." Whew. Perjury charges. I think Trump is going to win his appeals against her court awarded judgments. Quote, "Earlier this month, the federal appeals court rejected Trump's attempts to rehear his arguments against Carroll, who has accused the president of repeatedly defaming her. The Department of Justice then announced plans to intervene and stepped in on the president's behalf to appeal to the Supreme Court." Why would the DOJ step in on Trump's behalf in his appeal to the Supreme Court? Sounds like the DOJ has some solid evidence. What was E. Jean Carroll caught lying about? Federal prosecutors are looking at a 2022 videotape deposition statement in which Carroll said that she did not get any outside funding for her lawsuit against Trump. It was later made public that billionaire Reid Hoffman had covered some of Carroll's expenses and legal fees. Did you catch that? She lied about who was fundraising or funding her lawsuits. E. Jean Carroll's not the real target. Who is? Reid Hoffman. Do you know why Reid Hoffman paid E. Jean Carroll to accuse Trump of rape in a defamation lawsuit? Reid Hoffman was a good friend with Jeffrey Epstein. Reid Hoffman had a documented relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, meeting him multiple times between 2013 and 16, years after Epstein's 2008 conviction as a registered sex offender. Hoffman visited Epstein's private island, Little St. James, in November 2014 and hosted Epstein at a 2015 dinner in Palo Alto. The billionaire co-founder of LinkedIn was friends with Epstein, emailed him a lot, and visited Epstein Island, where underage children were sexually abused and tortured. Could that be why Reid Hoffman was desperate to prevent Trump from running for president again? E. Jean Carroll lied about her connections to Reid Hoffman, and then when they were exposed, she claimed she had no communications with him at all. Do you think that's true? Asked Joe Lang. What do you want to bet that the DOJ is in control of evidence that Hoffman was coordinating with Carroll and she lied about that too? FISA goes both ways. Whew. Military intelligence captures all forms of electronic data. Follow the timeline. E. Jean Carroll publicly accuses Trump of rape in a book that she is pushing back in June 2019. 1 month later, in July 2019, Epstein gets caught by surprise and arrested in New York. Panic. Guess when Reid Hoffman was first established his nonprofit that funded E. Jean Carroll's defamation lawsuit against Trump? Reid Hoffman established that nonprofit American Future Republic in 2019 with specific records indicating its founding date as October 2019. The organization was created as a left-of-center 501c4 social welfare group based in Chicago, Illinois, to fund activist groups and public policy initiatives. Hoffman established this nonprofit in October 2019. 1 month later, E. Jean Carroll filed her defamation lawsuit against Trump. Hoffman's new nonprofit would then go on to fund Carroll's lawsuits. I'm sure the timing of all this was just a coincidence, and there's no evidence of a conspiracy and to frame Trump, right? There are no coincidences. Reid Hoffman's nonprofit was based out of Chicago, Illinois. Guess which prosecutor is bringing these charges against Carroll? The investigation, which was first reported by CNN, is being led by U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, Andrew Boutros. That's Chicago. Coincidence? Who's the real target? Hunters become the hunted. The hunt is on. Here's more from that C-SPAN with callers making some amazing observations about President Trump.
Thank God Trump got in, because we would have never had all this exposure that's going on between that and the internet and people speaking up. But to be honest with you, if Trump wasn't friends with Musk and Musk didn't buy Twitter, we would have lost a lot of chances for freedom of speech. And that was the beginning of it.
That's John. And
that's good. That's right. Trump wouldn't get in. Thank God. And if Elon didn't get Twitter and buy it and turn it into X so people could start communicating with each other around the world and figure out what's going on, our free speech would be gone. Let's get back to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
How long until we see your signature next to President Trump's face on a $250 bill?
Well, again, as Treasury Secretary, I have two mandates for U.S. currency. At present, no living person can be on U.S. currency, and the currency must say, "In God we trust." So right now, there is proposed legislation in front of the House, in front of the Senate, to change the first requirement so that a living person, Donald J. Trump, could be on a $250 bill. So it's all in the hands of the, it's all up on Capitol Hill. So at Treasury, we prepare things in advance. So we have prepared in advance that if the legislation is passed, but we will stick to the law.
$250 bill, President Trump's picture on. Let's see if I've got that. Do I have that? I think I'm able to bring that over. My computer's kind of spinning, going, well, there it is right there. I showed it in the intro. Kind of an interesting look there. There's different versions, but anyway, Let's go back to this.
You said that it's up to Congress if the president's face is on a $250 bill, but it is actually the Washington Post that's reporting 2 political appointees from the Treasury Department who have asked agencies to be ready to do that. Do you think politically it's a good idea to put his face on a $250 bill when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries?
I don't really understand this Washington Post article. That who hears from the Post? Yeah. Terribly written, terribly edited, because basically what it says is that Treasury is following the law, and that we've created the bill, and that it's up to Congress, but that we follow the bill and it's up to. I didn't really understand what the story was.
So,
but anyway,
appointees aren't involved in that. 2 of your political appointees.
Yeah, of course, but we prepare for everything if it gets passed. Just like we were ready 6 months in advance for the one big beautiful bill for tax guidance. So we have to prepare in advance. You can't draw something up the day before.
Can't draw it up day before. I tell you what, Scott Bessent's doing a great job. No matter what CNN tries to do to make him look bad, he's like, hey, let me show you something that this stupid mainstream media, they have no idea what they're doing. They put this out because it doesn't even make sense. You guys are really, really idiotic. You know, he was up there to talk about the Trump accounts. Scott Adams showed us this. The Trump accounts give small businesses a new way to invest in the next generation by supporting the hardworking families behind their success. And they put that app out at the White House on the website. The Trump Accounts app is officially launched. Every family has a simple, direct way to get involved and build their child's future. It's pretty amazing what they're doing. And, you know, you can build your future, too, with these precious metals. If you get into silver and gold, we're watching what's happening with their weekly interviews. Unusual findings in silver market. Central banks are buying gold under the radar. That's what we put out last week. We have another video coming out tomorrow where Dr. Kirk Elliott really gets into a lot more that's been happening recently with the job numbers and more, and how that plays into silver in the future. You can reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott, amweknow.com/gold. They'll pray for you. They'll work with you. Bring your fiat currency over to gold and silver. It'll change your life. Now, I wanted to share with you the illegal alien sex trafficker gets only 10 years.
The 6 people arrested in an Omaha sex trafficking investigation ordered to spend a decade behind bars. Kavan Kumar Patel was sentenced in federal court this week. Earlier this year, he pled guilty to 2 counts of sex trafficking of a minor. Patel worked at the American Inn Hotel. This is South 15th and Spring Street. Prosecutors say he admitted to using money from the hotel till to pay traffickers to have sex with a minor at that hotel. The FBI says Patel, who's from India, is illegally in the U.S. and faces deportation after serving that prison sentence. Patel is the first person in this case to be sentenced. The other cases are still making their way through the courts. First Alert 6 learned in March the now vacant hotel at the center of this investigation was in the process of being sold. We'll let you know when we learn more about the future of that property.
Another illegal alien, only 10 years for preying on kids under 12. Other things that are going on that we keep you updated is these Islamic scholars, Kareem Abu Zaid and Utam Farouk, in a Texas conference. Listen to what they say about Islam taking over the United States.
Islam will rule the world again. No other faith has is morality.
When we say America will be a Muslim country someday, inshallah, people look at us with skepticism. But the reality is, that's our goal. Everybody has their own idea what they want America to be. We believe the best thing for Islam, best thing for America is Islam. Peacefully, with da'wah, not forcing anybody. We want to spread Islam.
Yeah. They're out there, Memory TV, telling you exactly what's going on. And I got this post from Dennis on X.
It is getting insanely dangerous around Frisco, Texas, y'all. The next city council is on June 2nd here. And at 5 o'clock on that day, they're going to have a rally against the rednecks, which I don't know how many rednecks are left in the Frisco area, probably like 5 or 6. So basically, it's a march against the white man is what they're going to have at 5 o'clock p.m. June 2nd at the Frisco City Council outside. It's getting really heated. There's a lot of people who are mad. There's a lot of people who are going to show up for their side. This is not a good setup, y'all. And I beg and implore anybody on that side who's for this to stop and to not do it. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. Nobody condones violence. Nobody wants that there. The issue is y'all are invading our home, coming over, taking our jobs, taking our houses, making it more expensive for us to live here in so many different ways. And now you are rubbing it in our faces. And that is going to piss off a lot of people who have stayed quiet so far.
And so I just want to make sure I show you that. And that's a lot of stuff going on. We have to stay in prayer and make sure we move forward in the right way. Cleanliness has been a big part of President Trump in restoring so much in D.C. This was released, if you're looking here. And MAGA Voice put this out. Trump restored Columbus Circle in D.C.
This grand entrance to the Capitol was a symbol of neglect versus one of inspiration. President Trump understands something important, which is great countries build great things, but a choice was made about restoration over deterioration, and a choice was made about beauty over blight. Together, we're restoring a capital city that reflects the strength, the beauty, and most importantly, it represents the promise of the United States of America.
That's Secretary Burgum having the beautiful fountain flow for the first time in 2 decades at Columbus Circle, D.C. You could see that here at the very end. Look at that. Cleaned it up. And it was terrible. If you guys would have seen it before, let's see if I've got a photo of that. I thought I saw something out there from what it looked like before and after with all the painting and the nastiness that was all over it. Let's see. This is before and after somebody put this together. No water, just old and nasty. You can see how he's restoring other fountains in D.C., things that just had no flow of water whatsoever, no beauty, and now it's just one thing is getting beautiful, beautifully restored after another, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and we're simply loving it. You know, the White House also posted something that President Trump reposted. There's no place like the United States of America. Worth protecting is what they put there with the United States flag, and you get the mountains in the background. It was posted at 5:28 p.m. President Trump reposted the White House's post. There's no place like the United States of America. You and your families are safe. That's Q 528. Promise. President Trump's comm is very clear. There's no place like the United States of America, and it's worth protecting. You and your families are safe, and he promises us. So when things go sideways, remember to trust your president, and remember to trust the plan, says Ultra MAGA Dean. Again, 5:28 p.m., posted so that we would read the following: you and your families, with the United States flag showing, are safe. Promise.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, again, you're wonderful. You deserve all of our praise. We honor you, and we thank you for constantly reminding us that you're there for us through your word. We thank you for the promise of the Holy Spirit, which is a comforter, brings peace to our souls and peace all around us, and comfort and rest in the midst of an amazing storm that's been playing out and brewing for so long, but now it seems to be here, and it's getting more and more heated every single day. We ask that you continue to watch over those on the front lines that are guarding our nation, that are making decisions to move this giant warship in the right direction to finally bring everyone away from thinking about war and thinking more about getting along and working together to fight against this evil that Satan has set up across this earth. We ask that you continue to protect those that are in the front lines, President Trump, his family, and many others that are just standing for the truth. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, died on the cross, 3 days later came back to life so that we can look and live. My brother, live. Look to Jesus Christ and live. We are so grateful to you. Please help us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing week. We'll have a video drop tomorrow. Dr. Kirk Elliott, an interview that was absolutely amazing to keep us moving forward. We look forward to a lot more that we're going to be sharing with you in the future. June is just about here. For now, this is LT. Have a great weekend. Semper Fi with Them We Know. Signing out.
Tulsi's going to go out in a blaze of glory in her final month, because she will be able to release in succession some extraordinary evidence of foreign interference in our election in 2020 and since.
It's not shocking, because they're alleged criminal partners. Not only did they work together in their negligence in burning down 7,000 houses and 12 people alive, but they're both complicit in laundering $24 billion to actually increase homelessness. Newsom and Karen